Hey,
Good day.
how's everyone doing out there in
Doing great
podcast land?
for me. Yeah, it's you know what? It's actually kind of funny. It's like our the other trainers out there making our point. Why go with them when you can get silly things? And
Yes.
if you want to level up your training, then by all means, you got to come with us, see what's going down. We make it engaging, hands-on, definitely not boring. And we were always up to date in our courses because we are constantly freshening them up, making them relevant and not silly.
Yeah, we're constantly bringing in companies to partner with us so that we can have the greatest in actual technology, not stuff that you just leave behind, but things that are brought to enhance the training atmosphere. So, without a shadow of a doubt, once you want to get started on making your team the best that it can be, give us a ring. We'll come train you.
Yeah, so head over to thehazmatguys.com/hire us and reserve your spot and start your transformation today because the calendar's filling.
Yeah.
It's moving.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going good. So things are going. You know what? Actually, it's funny because we're just buying today's travel day, and we are buying all the stuff for all the different conferences. And wow, they just keep coming in. Once again, these are the ones that are locked up, but there's others that are in the hopper. Wisconsin, New England, Ontario, Michigan, cold zone, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Oregon, Baltimore, and maybe Virginia. We haven't gotten back information about that one. Also, you have the After Action Report podcast, which is coming up, I think, this week. As of the recording next week.
Yeah, the next Wednesday. That for us, the next. Actually, even if you're listening to this 2 months from now, I don't know what to do with you. But it's the what is it? The 6th of March.
Yep, 6th of March, long format, comments are on, live streamed. It's going to be 1930 hours Eastern Standard Time. Many, many more to come after that. But good stuff, man. Bring your comments, talk to the guys directly. All your comments will be live and on the stream.
In fact, who's coming on?
Oh, Phil McArdle.
Phil McArdle's coming on.
Hazmat One of FDNY fame.
So if you've got any good stories of Phil or pictures that you would like to share and come on and break his chops about it, by all means, send them to us ahead of time. And but you got to come, right? We're not just going to throw it out there. You got to actually be in the audience and be like, hey, I sent you guys this. Let's throw it out. So, because, we're looking to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah. So, we got a lot of stuff going on, but that doesn't stop us from bringing out some new podcasts. Oh, one more drop. It's not even on our show list here, but I want to give a very big shout out to our girl, Camilla. She is building a website that's going to be dropping very soon, and I am drooling over this thing because it looks so amazing. A lot of stuff coming. A lot of stuff coming for all of our peeps out there. So, good stuff.
All right. So today. All right. So I'll apologize ahead of time right now. I'm just getting over being insanely sick yesterday. So if I sound a little off, I apologize to everybody that's out there. But all right, interesting discussion question. At least I think it is for today, and it does pair into, unfortunately, the batteries because everybody wants to talk about the batteries. But I want to kind of talk about this a little bit different than we have been, right? Because the question came up is, how do we fight an EV car fire in a tunnel? And I'd like people to be able to start to break these questions down and really start to decide on their own how they're going to do it. It's great to reach out to social media. It's great to ask questions of everybody else. But if you're asking this ahead of time, that's totally different. If you're arriving on scene to something, this is where you have to start to figure out, right? You can't jump online and be like, hey, Hazmat 2 world, what do I do here? That's just not going to be capable. So why don't we talk a little bit about how we would turn around and break down what we would do at an incident like this? And
all right.
Go ahead.
I want to make sure that I'm tracking, because you're saying in a tunnel. Are you saying we're going under the river tunnel, or is this any type of enclosure that would have limited ventilation kind of thing?
I guess a parking garage would be similar, but don't forget that a tunnel generally, if it's big enough, like you said, the underwater, they have a tremendous ventilation system. But there's plenty of tunnels out there that are not well ventilated. So we can go in both of those routes, right? Because it is important to understand that you're going to have minimum visibility at best. So which comes into play with what kind of tools are we taking in? What are we thinking about doing? What are the purpose of the different things that are out there? So we are going to break this down by the different types of operations first. Okay. So let's start off by turning around and looking at what sets a tunnel fire apart from an open air fire. And we can do this for any of the situations that we want to ask about. A car in a parking garage, a car in a structure, a car in an accident. Like, what are the difficulties of this specific operation different than just a regular operation?
That's you know what, you said that before, and it's actually a pretty good idea, is that when I think of a tunnel, I'm thinking one entrance, one exit.
Right.
Like generally, you don't have anything that's different than that, right? But in a parking garage, you have horizontal ventilation, but usually no forced air ventilation. But in the tunnel, you usually, like you said, you're going to have quite a bit, and that ventilation takes place in two main types. I'm not going to say it's the only two types, but it's the majority type, is piston ventilation of the vehicles physically moving through.
So this is like if you're, and I guess this is a bad example because so many people haven't experienced the subway, but if you're standing on a subway platform, you feel the train go by, you feel a pressure wave as it comes in, and then a sucking motion as it's leaving. That's the piston ventilation. So what? It's forcing air into the tunnel as the cars drive in and pulling air out of the tunnel as they drive out?
Exactly. The motion of the cars / subways or whatever it is the ventilation that keeps the air moving. Now, that works when things are moving. So let's just say you're under, we're under the river and a car fire starts up.
Right.
Now the cars aren't moving.
Right.
Because they're all like, holy crap, there's a car that's on fire. So there is no more piston ventilation. And that's where I would say part two you might see is going to be some type of mechanical ventilation, usually in stacks that go vertical to the ground. And they can move shitloads of air. I mean, like stunning amounts of air.
We'll generally see these in larger tunnels, right? Where you really larger ones, right? Because that piston only works for such a for a width. Once you get beyond a certain length of a tunnel, you need that forced air ventilation.
Exactly. And then I would say, then you get the third one. And this one you might see in a bigger size tunnel is they employ smaller fan sets that are built into the wall, and they use Bernoulli's principle.
Ooh, what isn't that a pasta? Oh, that's Bertelli's.
Yes, Bernucci's. So the free breadsticks and stuff.
Hey, I'm all right. So what is Bertulli's? Vitulli. I think Vitulli when you say that.
Bernoulli's principle is an entrainment of air, and this is how a jet engine works. A small airflow happens in the center, and then a much greater airflow is entrained and pulled with it. You can think of it like the fog nozzle when you're trying to vent out a fire, and you put the fog nozzle against the window, and you fill up the window with 60% of the water, and then magically the rest of the smoke leaves because you're using Bernoulli's principle to evacuate it out. That works great with just a small fan you might see mounted on the side wall of a tunnel. That gets a lot of air entrainment to actually move some smoke.
I didn't know that. I didn't know those little tiny fans actually were moving things along.
Yes, I wish I had my sound effect for now, but it's broken. So
doon. Well,
so
yeah, this tunnel effect also kind of comes into play in how we're going to attack the car fire, because we're really super limited on the position of the car and the position in which we're coming in to do the attack. We may not be able to get around the car. We may not be able to do some of the things that we're going to talk about, which, we'll hit the pros and cons and for each one of the operations that we do. But just keep that in mind, for us, because we deal with so many tunnels on a regular basis, we dispatch from both sides of a tunnel or both sides of a bridge automatically, because you never really actually know,
Right.
where the blockage is. So they'll go in from both sides. An area that may not be so familiar with their tunnels or go to them a lot, you may respond to the tunnel and you're not going actually into the tunnel at all because you've got 2 miles of traffic backed up because you got a car fire blocking the way. So, how you're going to approach the car also lends to a couple of the different operational options, because you might be far away from your source, but that's a whole nother talk.
Yeah. No, and even with this difficulty in approach, with limited ventilation, you're obviously going to have a much higher amount of structural issues, right? Because you're confining a heat. And we all know that the heat goes up for the most part. I'm not saying it can't be reflected with EV batteries on the bottom. Can that energy be forced down?
Right.
Yes.
Well, I think you're more right. Like, if it does force it down, then all we're talking about is an asphalt or a concrete problem. If the energy is going up, you could structurally damage the tunnel itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but like even forcing it down, asphalt is a hydrocarbon, and at certain temperatures, it does
ignite.
start releasing or off gassing or smoking or whatever, and that can add to the whole problem of your ventilation.
Yeah. Super long hose stretches, that can be an issue, right? But now we got to temper that with the idea of, are we even going to use water? Well, I think with that being said, we're still going to bring water with us, because what if that car fire puts other cars on fire? So we're still going to we still want to make sure that when we're doing this operation, we still have all the normal things that we would have. We don't want to leave anything behind. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I agree. And like, coming from a place in New York City where we have, I don't remember, is it 200 feet or every 300 feet? I think it's every 300 feet. Every 300 feet, you have a hydrant. Like,
right.
Seriously, from no matter where you're standing, any place in New York City, there is one within 300 feet of a string. Like, you go to the 300-foot string, you're going to hit at least one in that swing. But when you're underground in a tunnel, and not everybody has that luxury, is like, how are you shuttling your water down there?
Right. For us, we've got standpipes built into the tunnels, but you may be talking about a tunnel that's only, I don't know, a quarter mile going through a mountain. They may not have, that kind of infrastructure set up to allow it. And, we rely on that, but who's to say that structure isn't destroyed by the fire that's burning, or there hasn't been some kind of an accident in which, that standpipe hasn't been damaged in some way, shape, or form. Not saying it happens, but, these are things that you got to kind of keep in the back of your mind. So what then makes a car fire that's an EV car fire different than a regular car fire, right? Because nobody's asking, well, how do we do a car fire in a tunnel? We all pretty much know how to do a car fire. So what differentiates that EV car from a regular car?
That you're not in control.
Yeah, that it's going to do whatever it wants.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you can, I think, from what I'm gleaning from all of the battery destruction testing we've been involved in, all of the conversation we have with industry people that are actually doing this stuff, is that if you can extend delta T, you're going to have a much more successful operation. So
what is delta T?
Yeah.
Is that like a SEAL team?
Yes, delta. You got to come in. Delta T in the nerd language is the change in time, right? And so if I have, it's your analogy of the candle from last week or 2 weeks ago, is that a candle has the same amount of energy as a pound of C4. The difference is in how long it takes you to release it. And so I was just, and we're going to talk about this on Premium. Yes, you heard me right, folks. If you're there, you better get your shit together because we're going to have some Premium talk afterwards. We were just out in San Diego and we saw some very interesting methodologies to take care of batteries. And one's technique was to increase delta T, meaning you just take longer to release that energy. I think that's going to be kind of the trick. I
think it will be too.
Yeah, you got to remember, these batteries, they don't burn with the same amount of BTUs as a regular car fire.
Mm-hmm.
Where we had, the known quantities of plastics and jazz inside, you got the known quantities of diesel or gasoline, you got the tires, and we can kind of calculate that out and carry the two, and we're done. This is not in that same set. This is very, very hot.
No. And most of these fires aren't even going to go out with water. Like we've seen it again and again and again, newspaper article. The so-and-so fire department says that they put out the fire. It took 15 hours and 60,000 gallons of water. And I sit there and I go, you jackasses, you didn't put out the fire. That you just were sprinkling water on it when it decided, like, I'm done. Like, you really had no bearing whatsoever. But an interesting part of this, when we talk about the water, and we always talk about this in class, because what we're trying to, during the class, we try to sit and we try to get people to understand the justification of the let it burn and how the water doesn't do much. But let's take that idea and couple it with what Bob was saying as far as that delta T, right? So one of the things that we talk about during that risk-benefit analysis is, hey, listen, like the 60,000 gallons of water and the 15 hours of time it took, those are risks, right? If I'm taking an engine company and a truck company out of service for 15 hours, I'm reducing my fire protection to the rest of the community. Doesn't sound like a big deal if you're a New York City firefighter listening to this, but I promise you go out to places where there's 15 firefighters on duty for the whole city, and you take 4 of them out of service, you're significantly reducing fire protection. But in this case, let me reverse. And we talk about how the fire can put itself out within half hour to 40 minutes if you just were to let it burn. Let's couple the idea now, Bob, that you're talking about the delta T and the amount of heat that's released, because now would be a time where we would want to use some of that water to cool down the reaction, to slow down the reaction, to increase your delta T.
There's a valid argument to that. Like, yes, but I think the key to that whole thing is getting the water to where it can do its job.
All right. So what are some of the ways that we could do that, right? Like, what are some of the problems that we see in an EV car with not being able to get the water where we need it?
Well, it's in a battery compartment, and the battery compartment is designed to keep the rain out.
Yeah,
which is
like dolphin asshole type.
That's the free range form of the shit we spray. You know what I'm saying? Like, rain that comes from the sky and water comes from our hoses. It's the same crap. It's just that it's designed to keep it out. So really what it comes down to is letting the battery burn long enough for it to open the door for you, then let it rip.
Right. Right. If that battery compartment can open itself up, if it can burn itself out, and you now have an access point, then that's great. You can put that in there.
Yes.
So, all right. What are some of any other things about the car fires that we should remember?
There is a product out there, and I've been kind of on the fence of it, but the more I'm reading about it and see it employed, I'm going to say that the initial impressions I had on it were because operator error, and that's the blanket.
Okay.
The blanket, which I've seen out there, is the basic premise is that you put this thing over the top of it, and it kind of keeps all the parts and the giblets inside, and it focuses that heat to almost like, I don't want to say it wrong because I'm not. We don't sell for them. I don't really care if people like it or don't. But it seems that they're looking to basically focus the energy back into the system in order to shorten delta T.
Right, but they're able to shorten that delta T because there's not a lot of heat being transmitted.
Right. So they're looking to reflect it and feed it back and get the feedback loop to go faster to say, oh, instead of 45 minutes for it to do it, let it go by itself, let it burn, I can do it in 15 minutes.
So how are we? Somebody might sit in here and be like, oh, all right, but 2 seconds ago you just said that maybe a possibility is to shorten the delta T. Now you're saying to increase the delta T. Well, you have to remember that those two what seem to be opposing actions are actually going to support the same goal. And that same goal is to not have heat transfer to the structure. So that's the goal, and I'm going about it by two very opposite ways. The first one is I am using water to slow down that reaction as best as possible, right? Where I'm now increasing my delta T. The other way is I'm now using the blanket to increase my delta T, but I'm using the blanket to keep all that heat concentrated under the blanket. So
I might employ like a water blanket on the structure itself as like a guardian. Like you get where I'm going on that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, why we don't have to just think that the water is for the car fire. We talk about this when we talk about letting it burn in class. Like, our first and primary goal is going to be the surrounding structures and life. So we need to make sure that, you know, it's not that we're not doing anything. We're doing something. We're just not doing what we've been trained to do, which is put the wet stuff on the red stuff. So, yeah, the blanket is definitely an option that I think is great. We need to remember, though, that if we're covering it with the blanket, there's still one area that is unprotected, and that is under the car. So if for whatever reason you need to keep that under the car protected, you may need to flow water under the car just to make sure that that asphalt or that concrete is protected. We see this option being used as a potential in car garages, because we don't want to break that stringer, that wire cable under the concrete if that concrete spalls. So just kind of stuff to keep in mind. Kobe,
I was going to say I like to pack, leaves and pine needles under for insulation.
Oh, of course.
Under the car.
Yeah. If you soak them in gasoline, that helps reduce.
Even better.
It keeps them dry. It keeps them from drying out.
Yeah, the thermal loading is much more efficient.
Much more better.
Yep.
All right. Copious amounts of water, and of course, one of my absolute favorite things to go off on is the undercarriage nozzle, which I personally don't really see it working that well outside of a tunnel. I can't really see it working that well inside of the tunnel, with the exception of getting water under the vehicle in case I need to protect the that ground exposure.
No, but that's one of the things, and I know we've said this before, is that there are people out there running around saying, oh, this tool will fix all your problems. There isn't one tool that's going to fix all your problems.
Right.
Water, whatever type of containment vessel you have, an undercarriage, it's the same thing as saying, oh, this hydroram, this bunny tool that's going to force doors magically. This thing it's a staple in firefighting, but it doesn't work on doors that open towards you. Is it any less of a tool? No, it works 100% of the time on doors that work away from you. And therefore, I will use it all day long, but it doesn't work on the ones that come towards me. What I'm saying is there are tools for the situation you're in. I'm not saying you need all the tools. You're just going to have to get a little more creative and understand the rules for the tools.
60% of the time, it works every time.
On the shot, but there's things out there and they really haven't come, and that's why we're going to talk about it before the premium. I don't know if they're ever going to come to the United States. Is a system out there you might want to look at. It's called Cold Cut. Worst
name ever. I think Boar's Head Salami when I think Cold Cut, personally.
Oh, God,
I just imagine somebody throwing ham slices on the car, being like, oh, these Cold Cuts work great.
Yeah, Cold Cut.
It's what is it? It's a European system, and the Cold Cuts takes water, high pressure water and sand to cut into that battery compartment, giving us an opening to be able to get water in there.
Yeah, they call it the Cold Cut Cobra, and I've seen a demo of it personally. All the kids in Europe are doing this. Like, this is normal firefighting, but they've modified it a little bit for EVs. And I got to say, in the beginning, I'll be perfectly honest with everybody. I was like, this is dumb. This is stupid. And then about 20 minutes in, I was like, holy crap, this could fix the problem. And it has continued to get better and better. So if you're looking for a solution, I know San Diego and New York City have actually demoed it. I don't know more than that, but it could be a thing for you.
Yeah, so look into it. We'll keep you updated as we know what's happening with it. Tow truck, right? Like one of the things that we talk about during a parking garage is knock down the initial fire if you can, and then pull it out of there. And that is entirely possible with a vehicle in the tunnel as well. Like if you can knock that down enough to be able to get hooks into it and pull it out, more power to you. Go for it.
Well, so you got to remember, every engine, every truck is a tow truck.
Right.
You know, if you think about it, you have a tow hook or whatever, and I don't have chain. Well, I have hose, and I might be able to tie the hose around the A-frame or A post and tie it around the tow hitch on my fire truck and just literally back up. That fire truck will pull even the stoutest of the EV vehicles out of a problem. So if it's, let's say, stuck in a garage under a house or a mixed occupancy or in a parking garage and you need to physically move it, well, the fire truck's right in front of it, so you can just strap it to it and pull it out. There are no rules in Fight Club. The only rule is there's no rules in Fight Club. Like, that's it. That's it. So I think it's interesting.
You do what you can. Now, we are going to talk about a possible, I don't want to say replacement, I don't want to say competitor, a second option to, what's the name of the product? I'm so sick. I can't.
Welcome back.
Hey, everybody. Le Ponson, you got your top hat going?
As you were.
Good day, sir.
Oh, man, we just came back from San Diego and so we're going to have the Battery Destroyer Part 2 coming up soon. I'm starting to edit a lot of video, good stuff, but I was kind of impressed with 2 demos they had. And there'll be more on this thing. Right now, you're just going to have to take my word on it. There was one that's made by that was a bag.
The bag is I was so fascinated by this bag when you were talking about it because it makes no sense, and yet you said it totally, absolutely worked.
I'm going to give you my first impressions, and I'm going to tell you flat out, I was not impressed by it. I was looking at it, I'm like, there is no way. I wouldn't even put my lunch in this thing. I was like, that's adorable. What do you really got? Let me tell you, we threw in a full scooter battery. I'm talking like 60 cells of 2170s into it. And I'm like, there is no way this thing's going to do it. And it performed so amazing that I was like, I came back the next day because we were like, let's let this breathe overnight. So we put it in a drum. We're like, let's just contain it. We'll go home. We'll come back. We came back the next day. I pulled it out. I thought somebody honestly swapped the bags with a brand new one because the stickers weren't even discolored.
Really? Now that's a far cry from the other one that we did where we had four 2170s. And we had to extinguish the outside of the bag because it was on fire. First I said, somebody's screwing around with me. And then I'm like, these wires that are coming out, because they had a lot more than just initiator. I think they had 4 initiators in the battery. And then they had a whole bunch of thermistors to see where the battery pack was like kind of heating on. We opened it up, and apparently their whole motif is, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, but their whole thing is to extend delta T. And they put this thin silver pack in there that when it heats, it kind of inflates, and then it sprinkles liquid, cooling liquid, on
the battery cell. So basically, once the battery cell opens itself up by melting, this thing goes to work, and inside there creates like a freaking a tellurium.
Does it does it work like like a special agent? Not a special agent. I apologize again. My brain is only working halfway. You know the F,
like a gel, like a cooling gel.
No, it's not a cooling gel. It's this. It's the. They'll put it in. God, I am so not with it today. It would be a fire suppression agent that they would put in sensitive equipment rooms, where it comes out as a liquid, and the heat of vaporization.
Halon.
No, halon just disperses oxygen. This is like an F. It's an F agent. F. It was the system that was used in the Arizona Surprise Arizona ESS thing, and it literally cools fire by using phase transition.
I don't know. You know what? I got to see the bag because I had a brand new bag, and I got to see the bag post, and I will say it was very different. I'm looking forward to getting some more information. It is, I don't want to name drop it out there yet. I do have more information, but I want to make sure I get all of the T's crossed before I drop it out there. It will be soon. So if you're interested in it, email me. Bob at the Hazmat Guys, and I will give you the information. I just don't want to put it on tape yet.
Right.
So, okay. Part 2 of this was a different methodology. This thing came in a poly tote that was probably, let's say, 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot cube. And it had metal panels in it. And these panels were packed with a spun silica, but it had carbon in it and etc. And their claim to fame was this is scalable from a scooter battery to multiple Teslas in one compartment.
What?
Like they said, we can make it in the size of a train.
Oh,
like
shit.
A rail train, and put multiple Teslas in it, and they're like, good to go. So
how does it work? What does it do? Is it similar to like the other silica based products?
Yes, but it does. I think the whole process is a little bit different, where they're saying it. They're saying that our stuff will scrub it out. They said that it will scrub out hydrofluoric acid.
Okay.
And I can tell you,
makes sense if it has the activated carbon in it.
I can tell you, I can confirm anywhere from 1 to 3 parts per million were the output, whereas with nothing, it was off the charts hydrofluoric acid. When this thing was employed, it was manageable. I'm not going to say it's 0 because that would be a ridiculous thing.
Which is a far cry from the output we were seeing with other silica-based stuff.
Right. And I will say this. They came in like, I'm like, how many batteries are you going to put into this thing? They're like, we're going to put in, oh, shit, what was it? The bag was 50 cells. They came in and like, we're going to put 150 cells in.
Oh.
And
that's 2 scooter batteries.
Yep. They put 3 skateboard batteries completely inside the thing. Like, boom. And they threw it on and they were like, yep, it'll work. And it freaking worked.
Really?
The outside, we had thermistors on the outside of the poly container, and it never went 3 degrees above ambient.
Wow.
Now, inside, it was well over 700 degrees F. Never came out. So, again, 2 different methodologies. This one was like, we're built like a tank and we'll take it. And the other one was, we're going to delta T the shit out of this thing and we're going to slow its roll. I will say the bag, tons of smoke came out of the thing. But if you have ventilation, is not an issue, and I got time.
Right.
It was a thing, man. The other one was just like, it was almost like a bomb container. It was like you hear it go pow, boom, boom, boom. It was just feeding back that feedback loop inside, and it was just laughing at it.
But nothing was coming out.
Nothing.
Wow.
So, listen, I'm going to put together this thing, all the video that we got from San Diego. I would like to do it sooner rather than later. The date of this recording is the leap year, February 29th. I'm going to hopefully get this show up and running in the next 2 weeks, because I don't think it's fair for me to tease it like that and that give you guys anything right. Straight poop. So if you happen to hear this between now and then and you want some info, I will pass along whatever data I have on the side. But if you're waiting for the full with video, pictures, interviews, we're going to have all of it together in one stop shop so that you can eat with your eyes.
Are we going to have another Battery Destroyers seminar? Excellent.
Ooh. Yeah, we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff. This is good. T-shirts, Battery Destroyers, the flamethrower, Battery Destroyers, the pudding packs, everything.
Which I still think is one of the best ways to get rid of lithium-ion batteries is the flamethrower, but nobody wants to listen to me.
See you guys.